All right, let's get right into it. We all know that an emergency fund is a must-have. It's financial rule number one. But what if being too safe, letting all that cash just pile up in your checking account, is actually a huge financial mistake? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see why that big cash balance isn't the safety net you think it is.
So, think about it. You log into your bank account, you see that nice stable number, and you feel secure, right? You feel responsible. But what if that account isn't really a vault? What if it's more like a leaky bucket, where your money's value is just dripping away day after day?
And here's the heart of the problem. That number right there, 0.07%. According to the FDIC, that's the national average interest rate for a checking account. I mean, it's just shocking. That's the quote-unquote reward you get for letting the bank hold on to your hard-earned money.
Now look, I totally get it. There's this huge psychological comfort that comes from seeing a big pile of cash in your account. It makes you feel like you've got everything under control, like you can sleep at night. And that's what I call the cash safety paradox.
It really taps into how our brains are wired. We see a number that doesn't go down, and we automatically think, okay, good, it's safe. We think if the number is the same, we haven't lost anything. But that, my friends, is a very expensive illusion.
So if your balance isn't dropping, what's the real danger here? Well, it's something you can't even see. It's inflation. Think of it like an invisible thief who's constantly, silently, and automatically stealing the value from every single dollar you have saved.
Let's make this real. Let's put some numbers to it. Let's say you've done the right thing, you've been disciplined, and you've saved up $50,000. It's just sitting there, parked in your checking account, ready for whatever life throws at you.
So you've got that 50 grand sitting there. What do you earn on it in a whole year at that 0.07% rate? $35. That's it. $35. That's not a return on your money, that's maybe one dinner out if you're lucky. And here's the kicker. This is exactly how the bank's business model works. They take your $50,000, they turn around and lend it out as a car loan or a mortgage for, say, 7% or more, and then they toss you that tiny, tiny fraction of a percent. You're basically giving the bank a free loan to go make a fortune with.
But honestly, the ridiculously low interest isn't even the worst part. Inflation. That's the real killer here. Forget all the complicated economic jargon. All you need to know is this. Inflation is a guaranteed tax that makes everything you buy more expensive every single year. It means your cash buys less and less over time. You might be thinking, well, losing a little bit each year is no big deal. It's worth it for the peace of mind. But that's where you'd be wrong. Over a decade, that tiny little leak turns into a catastrophic flood. Let's look at what I call the 10-year horror story. Okay, just follow this timeline. Let's assume a pretty normal 3% inflation rate. After just 5 years, your $50,000 only buys what about $43,000 used to buy. Now fast forward to year 10, and that same $50,000 now has the buying power of just $37,000. You've lost $13,000 of real value. Poof, gone forever. And what if inflation runs a bit hotter, say around 5%, which, let's be honest, we've seen before? Well, then the math gets really ugly. In 10 years, you would lose $20,000 in purchasing power. That's 40% of your wealth, just vaporized, for doing nothing but trying to be safe.
I absolutely love this quote. It just perfectly captures what's happening, doesn't it? It's like a thief snuck into your safe in the middle of the night and just snipped the corners off every single one of your bills. You still have the same number of bills, but they just don't work as well as they used to. So what this all comes down to is a complete shift in our mindset. We have to stop thinking of cash as this stable, safe thing and start seeing it for what it really is over the long term.
This says it all, right here. Your cash savings are not a safe asset. They are a decaying asset. Think of it like you're holding a big block of ice. Right now, it feels solid. It feels real. But just leave it sitting out on the counter, and you know for a fact that it's going to melt away into a puddle.
And this changes how we should think about risk. See, we hoard cash to avoid what's called market risk. That's the possibility of losing money if stocks go down. But in doing that, we walk straight into inflation risk, which is the absolute guarantee of losing your buying power. One is a maybe, the other is a certainty. Which risk would you rather take? Okay, so what do we do about this? What's the fix? Well, the answer isn't to just throw your safety net away. Of course not. The answer is to right-size it. We need to move away from just hoarding cash and instead figure out your actual true survival number. And here is the number one mistake that people make. They figure out their 3 to 6 months of expenses based on how they're living right now.
including all the fun stuff, all the luxuries. But let's be real, if you actually have an emergency, like losing your job, all that stuff is the first thing to go.
The process is actually super simple. First, you list out everything you spend money on in a month. Then you get ruthless. You cut out every single thing that isn't absolutely essential for survival. What's left over? That's your bare bones monthly total. And that's the number you multiply by 3 to 6 to find your real emergency fund target.
And these are the kinds of things we're talking about cutting. In a true emergency, you are not dining out. You're not worried about your streaming subscriptions or buying new clothes. Your survival number is about one thing: keeping a roof over your head and food on the table. Anything above that number isn't a safety net. It's just trapped cash that's being eaten alive by inflation.
And I want to leave you with this one last thought because it's so important. In finance, there's no such thing as standing still. You might think doing nothing with your money is the neutral, safe choice, but it's not. Your money is always moving. So the only real question is, are you letting it compound forward by putting it to work, or are you letting inflation compound it backward into nothing?
You know that feeling, right? You log into your bank account, you see a nice big number sitting there, and you just breathe a little easier. It feels secure. It feels smart. But what if I told you that feeling of safety is actually an illusion?
Seriously, let's just get right into it. That big pile of cash that feels so comforting, it might be the most expensive thing you own. We're about to pull back the curtain and see how that safe money is very likely costing you a small fortune, year after year.
Let's just put a number on it, okay? Over the next 10 years, the price tag for playing it too safe could easily be $30,000. That's a car. That's a down payment. That's the amount of money you might just be leaving on the table. And I'm going to show you exactly how that happens.
You see, your money, when it's just sitting there, has two invisible enemies that are constantly attacking it. The first one is inflation. It's like a silent thief that sneaks in every single night and makes each of your dollars worth just a tiny bit less. And the second one? Opportunity cost. That's all the wealth you could have been building if your money wasn't just, sleeping.
And here's the real trap, the paradox that gets so many of us. The very thing you're doing right now to feel secure, hoarding cash, is the exact thing that makes your future self less secure. It feels counterintuitive, but by trying to be too safe today, you're actually putting your future in a riskier position.
All right, so what do we do about it? Well, the first step is to stop guessing. We have to figure out what your real emergency number is. And here's a spoiler. It is probably way, way less than you think. This right here is one of the most important distinctions you can make. Your normal monthly spending is not your survival spending, not even close. If you normally spend, say, $5,000 a month on everything, restaurants, subscriptions, all that stuff, your true survival budget might only be $3,000. In a real emergency, you're not ordering takeout, right? You're cutting down to the absolute essentials: rent, food, utilities. That's it. Okay, next up, you have to figure out your multiplier. How many months of that bare-bones survival cash do you really need to have on hand? Well, if you and your partner both have stable jobs, 3 months is probably plenty. If you're single income or maybe your job is a little less predictable, yeah, you probably want to aim for 6 months. And if you're self-employed with income all over the place, maybe it's more like 9. The key is to be realistic, not paranoid.
So here's the super simple math. Step 1, figure out that rock-bottom monthly survival number. Step 2, multiply it. So in our example, if your survival cost is $3,000 and you decided you need 6 months of security, your real emergency fund number is $18,000. That is your target. Anything above that is something else entirely. And we need to call that extra cash what it is. It's not an emergency fund. It's a laziness fund. It's money that you haven't given a job yet. And a dollar without a job is a dollar that's just sitting around, getting weaker every single day thanks to inflation.
So, how do we fix this? It's not about being reckless. It's about being smarter. It's about building a more efficient system for your money. A simple 3-tier system that gives you safety where you need it and growth everywhere else.
So here is the blueprint. It's so simple. Tier 1, your checking account. Just keep about 1 month's worth of expenses in there. That's it. Tier 2, a high-yield savings account. This is where the rest of your actual emergency fund lives. And Tier 3, that's your investment accounts. This is where your entire laziness fund gets put to work to actually build your wealth.
And if you think Tier 2 doesn't really matter, just look at this. 20 grand sitting in a typical checking account might earn you what, 14 bucks a year? Maybe. That same 20 grand in a high-yield savings account could be earning you $800 for doing nothing. It's literally free money that you're just giving up for no reason.
Now let's talk about the fun part, Tier 3. That surplus cash, that laziness fund, it needs a promotion. You have to stop thinking of investing as money that's leaving your bank account. Instead, think of it as promoting your dollars to a better job, a job where they can actually work hard for you and grow.
And look at the difference this makes over time. It's staggering. If you leave 32 grand in cash, in 10 years you'll have 32 grand, except it will buy you a whole lot less. But if you invest it, it could grow to over $63,000. That massive gap between those two numbers, that is the real cost of keeping your money safe.
This is the mindset shift you have to make. You are the CEO of your money. And a good CEO doesn't let their most valuable employees just hang out in the break room doing nothing all day. No way, they put them to work. Your job is to make sure every single one of your dollars has a job to do.
So this brings us to one last really powerful way to think about this. What is your emergency fund supposed to be? Is it an anchor or is it a raft?
And here it is. Your emergency fund should be a life raft. Small, light, and there to save you if you fall overboard. That's its only job. But when you hoard too much cash, it stops being a life raft. It becomes a giant, heavy anchor that you're dragging behind your financial boat, slowing you down every single day.
That feeling of safety you get from seeing a big number in your bank account, it's not real. Real safety comes from a smart system, from having your money working for you. So my question for you is simple. Take a hard look at your own finances and ask yourself, what anchor is slowing you down?